Hello and welcome back to another video. Now this is my Premier League predictions mid-season because now we've seen 21 match days having been played out, and it would be interesting to see if I get these more correct than the predictions before the season started, of course. So let's look at this. This is of course based on a tier list again, and so I'm gonna quickly go for Wolves in last, Burnley in 19th, and West Ham in 18th. Now these are pretty safe to predict now, I would say, the relegation. Now Burnley and Wolves are pretty sorry ass teams, both of them, so these could be interchangeable. Now the weird thing is Wolves have got 5 points out of the last 3 games. They drew to Manchester United, they won against West Ham, and drew to Everton, so they got 5 points there and now on 7 points. Only 6 points of Burnley and only 7 points of West Ham United now, Wolves. So interestingly, these 3 could now be interchangeable. If West Ham United and Burnley keep up these bad patches of form. Now Burnley have had 3 draws in their last 5 games, and West Ham have had only 1 point from 1 draw in their last 5 games. It is really sorry ass form, so Burnley could even go and bypass West Ham and leapfrog them in the table. Granted, I rate the West Ham squad more than I do the Burnley squad. That's why they're in 18th here. Now, next up, this could be Leeds or Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest is on 21 points and Leeds on 22. So I'm putting Leeds on 17th and Nottingham Forest on 16th. Nottingham Forest has not been convincing. The drop-off from last season is kind of crazy. To think that they've gone from 7th to 16th. Now I do rate Nottingham Forest squad more highly than I rate Leeds squad, and Leeds have actually overperformed. So Daniel Farke, respect man. I was not familiar with your game. I would have absolutely thought he would get relegated, and I did put them 18th. Now there is actually a 7-point gap now between Leeds and West Ham United, which means with each game week passing it looks inevitable to be these 3 to get relegated. So this is where it gets interesting. So we've got the 17th Leeds, the 16th Nottingham Forest. So who are we putting on 15th? Now, of course, Sunderland are on the downfall a bit, but 15th would still be a bit crazy to put them, I think, because they were in the European spots for quite a while now, even on Champions League spots for a while. I do think this could be Bournemouth, interestingly. Now, anywhere from 15th up to somewhere in higher mid-table, I think even at the end of the season it will be quite close. So there will probably be a points gap somewhere here in lower mid-table. There is 1 points gap already in the Premier League, which is, as I said, between 17th and the relegation teams. And there could be another bigger points gap here somewhere in mid-table. Somewhere here in lower mid-table specifically. Leeds United are 4 points behind Bournemouth, so there is a slight points gap here already. Now in the current table, Tottenham are 14th, but I do think they should finish somewhere higher. But interestingly enough, I don't think Tottenham will finish in the European spot, so they will be put probably in higher mid-table somewhere. What is a fair team to put here? I'd say probably Everton. And I'll put Sunderland here as well. Everton and Sunderland on 13th and 14th. They will be quite close to Bournemouth, I do think so. Sunderland are on a slight downfall. I predicted them bottom at the end of the season, so putting them 13th now. Well done, Sunderland. Well done, Régis Lebris. You've outperformed everyone's expectation. Some guys even tipped you to be the worst Premier League team of all time, but fair play. You've done a fantastic job, even stayed in the top four for a little while, won against Chelsea, played out the draw against Arsenal. So, very well done. And won their Tyne derby against Newcastle as well. Yeah, and Everton, I kind of overestimated them a bit. I did think they would be somewhere in higher mid-table, maybe on 12, I think, at the start of the season. Let me check. Yeah, I did put Everton on 12 at the start of the season. Now I will put Crystal Palace there because they finish on 12 more often than not. And I think high mid-table is fair for this current Crystal Palace team. Now they're on 13th now, just above Tottenham. Crystal Palace could, well, even finish above Tottenham, to be fair, at the end of the season. Now this is where it gets interesting because we do have a few teams here in this region where it is very likely that either one of these teams, from Bournemouth all the way up to probably Tottenham, they could be interchangeable. So let's go with Fulham now. Well, Fulham, where are they in? Let's look at current form for them. They're now on 9th, won 3 out of the last 5 games and drew 2. Now Crystal Palace is on a bad patch of form compared to Fulham. They have only won 1 of the last 5 games, Crystal Palace, and drew 2. So that's why I put Fulham above them in current form. Brentford is also interesting. Brentford are now on 9th. No, Brentford are now on 5th actually. So yeah, this is not as easy actually to... Yeah, on current form, Brentford should be somewhere up there. And then now, yeah, this is quite hard actually. In this higher lower mid-table region, parts of lower mid-table and higher mid-table, even Tottenham could be somewhere up here then. One of the smaller teams outside of the traditional Big Six, outside of Newcastle and Aston Villa, so one of the smaller teams could be up for a European charge, so getting into the Champions League, Europa League, or Conference League. So this is where it gets interesting. So we have Tottenham, Brentford. Now Brentford are massively overperforming with Keith Andrews this season. I did not think that they would be this good. It's kind of incredible actually. Igor Thiago, the second best goal scorer in the league after Erling Haaland. He has been a massive player for the Bees. Now Brighton is also still there. Yeah, this is five teams actually. So Brighton is also somewhere up there. Now I put Brentford above Brighton, weirdly. Then Tottenham on 9th. Brighton on 10th, Fulham on 11th, Crystal Palace on 12th. Now Crystal Palace 12th is quite a good pick because they finished 12th, I think, quite a few times over the last few years. Fulham, quintessential Premier League team. At the start of the season, I actually thought they would be lower because they didn't do much in the transfer window. I think they only signed Chukwueze, Kevin, and a second goalkeeper, Lecomte. Brighton has the biggest team, so very good squad depth, but not a team with title ambitions because they get talented players. They've got a very good scouting team system, and then they sell on their talents for higher prices, or they're good players. We've seen that in the past with someone like Moises Caicedo. Now we're seeing it with someone like Carlos Baleba. Maybe he will get sold for big money in the summer. Now Tottenham, Brighton, this also could be interchangeable as just like Brentford here. Brentford, they will crash at some point, I think. Yeah, so yeah, I put Tottenham on 8th. It's more a safe pick because Tottenham is considered one of the traditional Big Six teams. Now on 7th place in the Conference League, I will put Newcastle. Now I did actually think they would finish 5th because they were so good last season. Now they're on a decent patch of form. I think they've won their last 3 games, Newcastle. Yeah, they've won their last 3 games, drew 1 of those games out of the last 5, and lost 1 out of the last 5. So it was a draw, a loss, and 3 wins in a row. Now they're on 6th place. Table is still very volatile, so a lot of things could happen, but I think Newcastle around that area somewhere from 8th to 6th is a pretty safe choice, I think. Even though they haven't had the best season, of course, they lost the Tyne Derby against Sunderland in an embarrassing fashion and have had a rough start to the season. Sixth is interesting. These two could also be interchangeable, Manchester United and Newcastle United. Manchester United, I think they just edge it over Newcastle because they do have better attacking options and they score more goals than Newcastle United. They've got better quality. I think this season Amorim actually did hold them back in terms of goal scoring. Yeah, Newcastle's got 32 goals and United's got 36 goals. So even with a worse manager, you can see that Manchester United do have more firepower up front. Interestingly, Manchester United are one of the most dangerous teams from corner kicks, I think, even though they also do concede a lot from corners. So they're very good offensively on corners, but also very bad defensively on corners. Yeah, Casemiro for Manchester United, one of the best threat on corners in the air, probably the second best or third best heading player this season after maybe Gabriel from Arsenal. So he's up there. And Bruno Fernandes has also he's also on 10 plus goals and assists this season, scorer points already. So with hopefully for them Sesko, Cunha and Mbeumo picking up form again, this should be somewhere up there. They could even snatch a Champions League spot. Same for Newcastle, by the way. Now on 5th, I will put Chelsea on 5th for now and Liverpool on 4th. Interestingly, Liverpool are just so underperforming for the fact they've spent 500 million quid in the summer. It is kind of crazy. Buying Isak, buying Wirtz, buying Ekitike. And only one of those three so far has really worked out with Hugo Ekitike. So Isak is out for a few months, get well soon, Isak. So it's not worked out for them. They're very inconsistent. Same with Chelsea. Chelsea actually have a very young team, but also a very weird recruitment strategy system. So I don't know what their ownership, Blueco, is doing. They are now gambling on a new young manager with Liam Rosinia, who is also part of Blueco because he trained Strasbourg before and they're a sister club of Chelsea. So yeah, let's see what's gonna happen there. Many people say Chelsea actually lack experienced players, so maybe they do need to shop in that department. And Liverpool are just inconsistent, but they have the quality over Chelsea. That's why I put them 4th. Aston Villa, I did put them on 7th actually at the start of the season, but they have put together an insane run. They've only, I think, in the last few months lost 2 games and had 1 draw. So since the end of September, Aston Villa, yeah, out of the last 5 games, they lost 1, they drew 1, but they also won 3 and they had that crazy run before that. Cross competition, they won, I think, 12 games in a row. So that was quite insane. You could say that out of Villa, Liverpool, Chelsea, United, Newcastle, I think Aston Villa actually has the worst squad, but they also do have the best manager out of those 5. So that's where they're probably overperforming to this extent. And there is a points gap between Villa and the 4th and 5th place team in the league right now. So Villa is still 8 points clear of 4th place. So they could even make a sneaky title charge. Let's see. Manchester City 2nd, Arsenal 1st. Yeah, Manchester City have actually overperformed my expectations because I did put them 3rd at the start of the season. Their attack has looked quite good. They score the most goals in the league. They've got 45 goals. Yeah, Haaland is, I think, on 18 or 19 goals already. Then they've got Cherki, the, I think, top assister in the league. Foden has been back on decent level, on decent form over the last few months, so it's looking okay for them. They are 6 points behind Arsenal at this moment. Arsenal, they do have a better squad depth. They lack a bit of that goal threat that a champion or Premier League champion team should have, Arsenal, but they have that defensive stability like no other team in the league. They've only conceded 14 goals so far, by far the best team defensively. Now they won't break that record that Chelsea have for only 15 goals conceded in Premier League season because they've already conceded 14. Shows you how good Chelsea was under Mourinho, how good they were defensively. All those three are well, Aston Villa is the underdog. Manchester City is the second favorite for the title, and Arsenal is now the clear favorite, which I didn't actually imagine. I even couldn't imagine what happened because Liverpool just spent 500 million quid and they won their last league title comfortably. So all the other teams from 4th to 7th and lower down the table are out of the title race, and those three are now in a title race. The points gap between Arsenal and Liverpool are 14 points now, then 16 points to Chelsea, 17 points to Newcastle and Manchester United. So big points gap, guys. Big points gap. And this could even increase because Manchester City will play Manchester United next in the Manchester Derby. And Aston Villa, they do play Everton next, but it's still not a guaranteed win. And Arsenal play Nottingham Forest next, which should be a guaranteed win. So guys, what do you think of this table? Well, is this now a decent prediction? Is this a good prediction? Something that could happen? Or will the table completely flip? Well, if I do get a difference of minus 50 or higher, which is on average 2.5 places off per team, on this prediction, it would be quite shambolic because I've now had 21 games to watch the season, analyze and rethink of how the table should play out by the end of the season, so it should be better. And with that, guys, comment down below if this is any good. What do you think will happen? How will the table look at the end of the season? Comment down below, and I'll see you very soon. Take care. Peace.